Hey guys, it's time to watch a horror movie again. Today we continue with the American horror series Grave Encounters. In the wilderness of the United States, there was a mental hospital. It covered 80,000 square meters and had admitted hundreds of thousands of patients. Sometimes the doctors were too busy and even refused new patients. Now it's completely deserted and falling apart. The reason was a surgeon who graduated from Harvard University. After becoming the hospital's director, he carried out cruel and inhumane brain experiments on patients. During his 11 years in office, he removed the frontal lobes of more than 200 patients. The frontal lobe is located at the very front of the human brain. It controls emotions, speech, and motor functions. And this director, named Fick, happened to be a neurology expert. He had a twisted obsession with the human brain. So, he used his position to crack open patients' skulls, one after another, hundreds of heads, until August 15th, 1948, when it all finally ended. 6 patients escaped from their locked rooms. They stabbed Fick to death with a dagger while he napped in his office. After that, strange events began happening in the hospital. Even patients seeking treatment avoided the place. In 1974, the government tried to renovate the hospital, but during construction, supernatural incidents kept happening. One worker was suddenly attacked by a force. It pushed him down the stairs and broke his leg. The old security guard who watched the place revealed that many areas inside had experienced paranormal events. For example, a door on the top floor. Every time before leaving, the guard would make sure to lock it tightly. But by the next day, the door would always be mysteriously open again. And this bathtub in front of us. Every nightfall, dripping water sounds can be heard. It's said a woman once slit her wrists in this tub. Finally, there's the underground tunnel. It stretches 2 kilometers, connecting all the hospital buildings. But every time the guard went down, he felt a bone-chilling cold. And he said countless pairs of eyes were staring at him. So, whenever he came to inspect, he only dared to peek from the tunnel entrance, never going in. Oh, it was just my shadow. After interviewing these key people, Tommy led his paranormal investigation team. They decided to stay inside the building tonight from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. to see if they could capture any supernatural activity. To record more details, Tommy assigned Matt to set up cameras in rooms where strange events had occurred. Matt would sit in front of the big screen later, constantly monitoring the building. If anything unusual happened, he would immediately radio the other 4. Then Tommy led the team into the building. But the deeper they went, the damper it became. The air was filled with the stench of decay. To prevent patients from escaping, iron bars and wooden planks had been fixed on every window. So, for years, sunlight almost never reached inside. The female teammate Jenny couldn't help exclaiming, "It's freezing here!" Then he began calling out the names of spirits lying down in the bathtub where someone once slit their wrists, but no ghostly figure appeared. Tommy also pulled out his Polaroid camera. He claimed it could capture things invisible to the naked eye. "Ghosts often sneak up behind people," he said. If there really was someone behind them, they'd only know after the photos developed. But after snapping several shots, Tommy found nothing unusual. Then the group arrived at the underground tunnel. Earlier, while taking pictures, Longhair said he heard noises coming from below, but when they followed the sound, it turned out to be just a group of squeaking rats. After that, Tommy and the team returned to camp to rest. By then, less than 4 hours remained before filming ended. Not wanting the shoot to be wasted, Tommy planned for the 4 of them to split up. That way, the chances of capturing paranormal activity would increase. But at the same time, in one of the spots where they had set up surveillance, the door the guard mentioned earlier quietly swung open. Meanwhile, Tommy's group had reached the upper floor. After going over some filming details, the team split up. Maybe the spirits feared large groups. Not long after, a bald teammate left the group. He staggered into a shower room. One moment he was complaining how cold it was. The next, the door behind him slammed shut by itself. What the hell? He jumped in shock. After confirming no one else was around, he quickly radioed Tommy and the others. At first, Tommy didn't quite believe it. He wondered if maybe the wind caused it. The bald man argued that, even with wind blowing in, there was no way such a heavy door could move. After watching his footage, the group finally believed him, their excitement growing. Tommy then explained the situation to the camera and began a seance in front of the door. He tried to get the spirit to show its power again, to boost the content of their show. Just then, a loud bang came from a nearby room. "Show yourself." "You really think anything's here?" Tommy quickly told the team to leave the shower room for the hallway. They carefully approached the room with the noise. When they arrived, they saw a hospital bed with wheels had been toppled. The wheels were still spinning rapidly. Whoever pushed it must have had great strength. Tommy radioed Matt, who was watching the monitors, but Matt reported no one else was in the building. Everything looked normal. Jenny guessed they must have encountered a ghost. Seizing the moment, she quickly pulled out a device called an EVP recorder. According to them, this machine could record not only human voices, but also sounds inaudible to the human ear. After recording, Jenny played the audio on loop. Suddenly, the recorder emitted a crackling noise, like a telegraph machine in operation. As everyone listened intently, Jenny's hair suddenly floated upward. Clearly, something unseen had tugged at her from behind. Shaken, Jenny looked distraught. She ran into the stairwell, insisting to Tommy she wanted to leave. But at this critical moment, Tommy refused to abandon the shoot. He had long hair escort Jenny back to camp on the first floor. Then the rest returned to continue the seance. The bald man filmed from the opposite side, shouting like a madman, but getting no response. By then, it was already 4:40 a.m. Less than 2 hours remained before the guard came to open the doors. The bald man urged Tommy to call it quits for the night. He had a camera test that afternoon and needed rest. He couldn't afford to waste more time here. With no choice, Tommy reluctantly snapped a few photos before leaving. "Let's go home." The group began packing their things in the lobby. Matt was sent upstairs to retrieve the cameras since he alone knew their exact locations. But the bald man grew increasingly restless. It was already 6:15 a.m., and the guard was 15 minutes late opening the doors. As the bald man kept complaining, another hour passed. Not only had the guard not come, but Matt, who went upstairs, hadn't returned either. They figured Matt must have run into trouble, so Long Hair stayed on the first floor waiting for the guard, while the other three went upstairs to search for Matt. As the bald man was passing a staircase, he was suddenly shoved down hard by an unseen force. After that, he could no longer stand it. No matter if the guard came or not, he was getting out. So he pushed a bed from a room and, with Tommy's help, rammed it against the main door. But by then, it was already close to 8 a.m., yet no sunlight shone through from outside. The bald man staggered back in disbelief, because what they saw was not the outside of the building, but the same pitch-black entrance they had entered yesterday. Long Hair picked up the chain the guard had used to lock the door. He looked at the words carved above the door. It was still the same door, only the exit seemed different. Then Tommy and the others opened room after room, only to find the layout identical to before. Even the doors opened and closed at the same angles. Frustrated, the bald man slammed into a window, but it wouldn't budge. He shouted out the window, but no one answered. Long Hair, who had studied the paranormal, explained, "Maybe these buildings have some kind of magnetic field that confuses time. Maybe we've only been inside for less than 3 hours. That would explain why, even at 8 a.m., we still can't see the sun outside." After a pointless argument, they decided to check the rooftop. If there was an emergency ladder, they could use it to escape the building. The 5 of them climbed floor after floor with hope. They finally saw a sign pointing to the rooftop. Excited, the bald man shouted until they turned the corner. In front of them stood a solid concrete wall. Desperate, the bald man pounded on it, then cried as they went back down. But soon they ran into another problem. They were lost. Looking at the hallway's floor map, Tommy realized the structures they'd passed looked like they'd seen them many times before, and Jenny's compass stopped working too, making it impossible to tell directions. Just then, a shadow suddenly flashed behind them. Tommy thought it was Matt, who had long disappeared, but when he led everyone to chase it down, they found a strange woman instead, standing in the corner with her back to them. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Seeing this, the group panicked and fled the room. hiding themselves in fear. But in the chaos, Longhair, who was at the back, got separated from the group. He kept shouting Tommy's name in the corridor, but the only reply was the creak of a door, slowly opening ahead. Longhair didn't notice something had stepped out of the room. He kept shouting recklessly through the corridor until suddenly something lifted him high and grabbed his throat. By now, Tommy's group had been trapped in the building nearly 2 days. Exhausted, they eventually fell asleep. When Jenny woke, her back ached terribly. Tommy lifted her shirt carefully, only to find English letters carved into her back. Not only that, the three of them now wore wristbands, the kind only psychiatric patients usually had. But now, each wristband had their names on it. Later, in one of the rooms, they finally found Matt. But his mind already seemed unstable, and he was dressed in a patient's hospital gown. Tommy asked what he had seen, but the bald man didn't care about details. He just wanted to find the exit and go home to his wife. Matt replied, "Of course you can leave, but before you do, each of you must undergo brain surgery here." Then Matt burst into eerie laughter. Without realizing it, he stood before a bathtub staring fixedly at the pool of blood inside. They'd heard someone had once died there. The bald man tried to pull Matt away from the bathtub. But suddenly, the pool of blood inside overflowed, and the bald man who was dragged in vanished without a trace. Instead, Matt stared around the room and burst into eerie laughter. Soon after, the remaining three kept searching for an exit and finally found an elevator. They had been trapped on this floor, unable to get out. Tommy suggested climbing down the shaft, hoping for a slim chance to survive. If they reached the basement tunnel, maybe they could escape the building. Tommy then found a sturdy iron pipe and used it to pry open the elevator door. But just as he was about to leave the room, he noticed a severed tongue lying on the floor. The blood was still fresh, cut only moments ago. Tommy hadn't expected it. A dead patient's body was hanging right above him. Panicked, he rushed to pry open the elevator door. Luckily, there was a ladder inside for them to climb down. Tommy told Jenny to go first, then Matt, while he stayed behind. But just as he finished saying this, the evil spirit roared and charged at them. Tommy grabbed the camera and stepped forward, heading for a door nearby that could block the entity. Seeing Tommy in danger, Jenny handed the camera to Matt and rushed forward to help him. Together, they managed to trap the spirit outside the door. But when the camera turned back to Matt, he was laughing strangely again, before suddenly leaping into the elevator shaft. When Tommy and Jenny climbed down the ladder, they found Matt's body motionless. He was dead. Now, out of the 5-person exploration team, only the 2 of them remained. Tommy comforted Jenny as he pried open another elevator door, telling her this tunnel ahead was their last chance to escape the haunted building. But staring into the endless black abyss, Tommy had no idea what kind of monster they might face next. They walked on in terror for a while, only to find themselves back at the tunnel entrance again. They had been circling the same place. Furious, Tommy threw away the iron pipe, completely losing hope. At that moment, Jenny began coughing violently, vomiting blood. She had suddenly developed a high fever earlier, and after going so long without food, her body could no longer hold out. Tommy could only help her lean against the wall to rest. Soon, thick smoke silently spread through the tunnel. It engulfed them, and when it cleared, Tommy realized Jenny was gone. He used the special recorder to try and speak to the spirit, asking what it really wanted, but the only reply was eerie laughter. Tommy was nearly insane with hunger and despair. He screamed curses at the camera. "Hello to you all." After killing a rat in front of him, Tommy tore into it, devouring it hungrily. To get more protein, he even swallowed the organs. He ate while laughing like a madman, as if he had become one of the insane patients. Then he noticed an iron door around the corner. Tommy pushed it open and stepped inside. The room was filled with various clutter, all surgical instruments. On the blackboard was a diagram of the brain, and hanging nearby were bodies of lobotomized patients. This must have been the director's surgical lab. This can't be real! In the final scene, Tommy appeared before the camera, blood covering his forehead. He had apparently undergone a forced lobotomy. No, I'm not crazy. I feel so much better now. At last, I can go home. I'm Movie Minutes 369. Hit that subscribe button to support me. Thank you, guys.